Well, I can't quite cover everything in my opening statement, and obviously there was a lot to cover in Kentucky tonight. Some great headlines coming out of Kentucky for us, some storylines, and not so great ones. I'm still looking to figure out what happened with Grand Slam Dio. It wasn't AFib, it wasn't heat exhaustion or the thumps, so it wasn't anything with her heart. We are going to scope her to see what went on with her. Did she tie up? I mean, usually when a horse stops that bad, it's only a few things. I'm glad we don't have to worry about it being anything with her heart, especially in the heat of the summer. That makes it extremely difficult to do. Secondly, did she bleed? Is she full of mucus? Now that's hard to believe because she trained the other day and was scoped after, had moderate mucus, a lot less than she had when she first went down there, and no blood found. So convincing me that it was. Now again, I'm kind of sticking my neck out because I have no idea what it was. I think she probably must have tied up. Although I saw her in the post parade, her ears are up, she's playing around. If she tied up, I think it may have been something that happened previous to tonight, because usually when you get a horse that ties up to the extent of the horse walking the way that she did, you see some acute signs, right? They're blowing a lot. They are extremely uncomfortable to the point where they may need to be medicated after the race, and fluids run into them. I didn't hear any of that from Eric. The vet said no thumps, no AFib, nothing with her heart. So I would wager we're probably going to see some mucus, and when we draw our blood, probably a significantly elevated AST. That would be my guess, but I have not heard from Dr. Dana yet. Now, as it goes to the rest of the day, pretty good. Obviously, we weren't without some concerns also. Pickpocket, to me, just didn't look good the entire time he was there. We did some vet work on him. And when I look at what's going on in Kentucky, the track is loose and it's deep. I would suspect now he was shod as he left Ontario, right? 3 weeks ago. I would suspect that the horse has probably got a little longer toe than he needs. The one thing he has told us is that he does race better with a shorter toe. We're looking at 3 weeks. 3 weeks on that first pair. Now we got 3 pairs on that first pair of aluminum mushroom bars. I'm going to say they're maybe worn out a little bit, and maybe he's telling us that his toes need to be a little short and his angle a little higher. Now that plays well because his check ligament left front was the thing that bothered him the most. Yes, his knees were problematic. Yes, we had to work on his feet. But the trigger, and this is usually secondary, but in this case I'm not so sure it is, the trigger to pickpocket, I believe, is that left front check ligament. When you start to get those angles down, so here's the foot, right? You shoe the horse, you take the toe off, you leave around 3 5/8, 3 3/8, 5/8 probably for a trotter, and that angle somewhere around 50, 51, maybe 49. But as the month goes on and you grow toe faster than you grow heel, that angle comes down. Now you're looking at about a 47-inch degree up front, or 47-inch. You're at 47 degrees up front, sorry. And sometimes that can put a lot of strain on those check ligaments. So when we have a horse that we know the check ligament was bothering him, this is his 3rd, maybe 3+ weeks since he was shod on a pair of aluminum shoes that might be worn out a little bit. I'm more prone to believe that his angle's a little low, his check ligaments, and in turn his knees are hurting him a little bit. Because they're hurting him, it's going to put a little pressure on his feet also, and it may come from his feet. So how much are his feet bothering him? How much are his knees bothering him? Is that left check bothering him? I don't have to ask the third. I can guarantee you the answer is yes. And when I look at pickpocket in the mile, as one of my partners, Randy, just pointed out, he looked like he was going to run in the post parade. Yeah, he did. He didn't look comfortable at all tonight. And it wasn't a lameness, a strictly acute lameness issue. It wasn't like, well, what's wrong with him? Did he hurt himself? No. I think this is something we have to stay on top of moving forward. Got to keep that angle at 49 or 50, no lower than 49. Got to make sure he's 3 5/8, not 3 7/8, not 4 inches up front. We got to make sure that those angles are stood up on this guy a little bit. I think if we can stick to that game plan, then we'll be fine with pickpocket. Having said that, if we do the vet work on him, get his angles up, he should be fine for the final. The good news, the good takeaway is very, very small amount of blood found with pickpocket today, which is good because after the break, he still charted in 59, 28, 2 on the end of it. So he still did go a racing type mile. to get back into that type of line. So the fact that there's a very, very small amount of blood means that Eric is still trending in the right direction with that. And I can assure you one thing, when you have a horse that is uncomfortable and stressed out, that's when you're going to see them bleed the most, right? So you did have a horse that was stressed out, a little bit sore today, and he did bleed. And the fact that it was just a very moderate amount, if we can fix the first part of that, which is any sort of soreness he has in that front end, then we should be able to get that blood somewhere to none, if not just a very, very small amount. And then as we head to Kentucky, again, a much more favorable track for him, a track that he likes, I think we are on the right path with this guy. I think he was just letting us know today that, hey, this track is loose, my toes are long, and my check is sore. And I think that's where we're at with Pickpocket. Nothing that happened with him today can't be fixed, in my opinion. Without being there, without looking at him, without having my hands on him, just knowing the entire picture of Pickpocket and how he was, I don't think anything you saw today can't be reversed, fixed, and fine for next week's final. That's my take. Now, Memory and Imagination raced good. Todd had told Eric after, a little bumpy gated, but he's been bumpy gated his whole life. He's never been a picture of, fluidity, a picture perfect trotter. He's never been that. He's always been a workhorse. And again, no real issues heading into the final. I think, again, treat him up for EPM, keep an eye on him, work on his feet and his knees. Eric knows all about this horse also. So I think with a favorable draw with either or both of these horses, we could have a very good race in the 3-year-old division for the trotters next week. Now, moving on, Westland Warrior, still a little disappointed with him. I thought they left the door open for him to jump on what looked to me to be an easy meal, coming out of the last turn. Scott was protective of him. He understood that we still needed the points, and he looked like he was going to be first, second, and then for sure third, but he ended up fourth. So I would say, especially if you're even remotely trying to gauge him and score him against Memento Mori, it was no comparison in my mind. So heading into next week's final, we have a deep division. I do believe Memento Mori showed today, again, with the confidence he showed in the front end and the way he just appeared to toy with them, that he is the horse to beat heading into the final. And I'm sure everybody and Scott is very happy to hear that. As it goes to Westland Warrior, he's a fringe player at this point. I want to see, and that would be kind, considering he trotted in 58 today. He's going to have to trot in 56 to even be in the same breath as Memento Mori. And if that colt that made a break today puts his head on straight for next week, both those horses obviously can trot in 55, 56. Everybody else is in the hunt. Now, there was a horse second to Mori. That horse, I don't know his name. But again, those horses now have been at 56. And can Westland Warrior go in 56 is a question that needs answered. So I wouldn't use the word disappointed. Maybe lackluster today would be the way to go when describing Westland Warrior. I expect more. I'm certain he can do more. There just has to be follow through on that, and hopefully there will. Memento Mori, what more can you say? The horse was tremendous today. The horse looked like a monster. He looked like what we've been touting for a while. When I talk about Westland Warrior, I'm extrapolating what I saw and assuming that he can do more. We've already seen what Mori can do. That half in 55 and 4 in the Meadows was more than enough to let you know he's no joke. And everybody else saw that today in Kentucky also. He's no joke. So I think very happy with what I saw going into the final in Kentucky. Arson, again, just finds a way to win, right? Scotty drove him so smart and so good. Had a look at the 3-horse leaving the gate. He didn't look comfortable at any point, the 3. Yannick did want to be on the front on a small field. Looked like his horse was a bit of a grinder, and he didn't want any part of backing into Arson, because Yannick's no dummy. He knows that Arson's quick on his feet, and if given an opportunity, could probably out-sprint his horse, and that's what he did, just narrowly, but he really did. Scotty drove him perfect, and the horse just looks good. Now, the disappointing part of today was Grand Slam Dio. I had, obviously, my reservations about this mile, the way she finished it up as I started this video. I'll let you know when I know. Right now, she's comfortable, which is good, because if it was anything to do with heart or bleeding or anything that happened in today's race that started hours ago, she would be in an uncomfortable state, right? If she bled bad, she would be uncomfortable. If she tied up today, she'd be uncomfortable. Flipped her heart, AFib'd, had the thumps, heat exhaustion, any of the things that can make a horse look bad, she didn't appear to have today. So whatever happened today to cause her to do this, I think it started a couple of days ago. Sometimes for a filly that we just want to keep quiet and work on her allergies. And Eric, I know Eric and Kathy start early. You know, to get her out, you may not notice that she tied up a little bit more. And then you go today, you just keep her quiet again. And maybe it compounded slowly today. And then once you get in the mile, you could see her gait just looked forced. It looked like her feet were 1,200 pounds each. When she started into the backstretch, I'm like, wow, it just looks like she's got way too much weight on. And I know she doesn't. So I'm like, well, whenever she finishes today, it looks like we can improve on this because her gait looks so lethargic. This was at the quarter, at the halfway down the backstretch, she started to let go, and in the last turn, I'm like, oh my dear God, this is not good. And then when she, when the race was over, I'm like, I hope something serious didn't happen with this filly. Make no mistake, what we saw today was bad, but the things that could make it really bad, aside from bleeding, which I doubt she could spring a leak that bad that she would walk that bad. Nah, I would find that out. You're going to find blood probably in the scope, but it would be from whatever caused today's mile. It wouldn't have been the cause of today's mile. That's, again, I don't have all the information, but that would be my take on it. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that maybe GGT also could cause her to be that lethargic. Something will be found in the scope. I'm sure Eric's going to come back and say she bled, there was mucus, maybe she even flipped. But that was all a result of something, not the cause of something. And again, that's my 2 cents. So I'll let everybody know when I know what happened with Grand Slam Dio. But all in all, again, I put it in my email. I don't want to pull down my pants. But when I'm talking about in the opening email for all you guys for the videos today, I made reference to everybody wants to have the best horses or really good horses, but everybody does, and we do. But that doesn't mean we have the best, right? And when it looks at the 3-year-old division, Arson is a true competitor and will be, I would suspect, the prohibited favorite in Lexington or in Oak Grove next week for 100. I believe Memento Mori will follow in his shoes. That's 2 of the main divisions, right? Gymboree making a break today. Looked to me like she was going to be third, probably trotting 56 in a piece. She did show some blood today. That is a problem moving forward. We're going to have to continue to be as aggressive as we can, see if we can plug her up. Same thing we're going through with Pickpocket. And make no mistake, if you think that she's the only 2-year-old down there that showed blood today in that heat, you'd be sorely mistaken. Only one of ours, that as of right now. But you can be sure there's lots more that were scoped today that showed blood. So working to try and mitigate that, but it looked like she had a big move. She used it, and she wasn't going to win, but she looked like she was going to be third, maybe second today, and ended up rolling off stride. Is that enough for 4th and 5th, get her in the final? I suspect so, but I don't know for certain. And as far as Westland Warrior, he's the bigger question mark of all of them when it comes to whether they get in or not. So a lot of questions to be answered. Mathematically, did 2 of our horses make it in the final? And I think the biggest question and the most important question of the day is Grand Slam Dio okay? What happened to her and how do we fix that? So that's where we're at coming out of Kentucky. I didn't want to mix my opening with this because there was a lot to talk about in the Kentucky video, but I wanted to make sure that everybody understood what went on today. A great day for us, a great week, a great weekend for us, right? We won 1 leg of the Next Generation. There was only 4. Ron Burke won 2, Ronnie Gillespie won the other one, and we won the 4th one. So a big day for us in Scioto last night. But again, we had 3 other horses race. 2 of them showed a little blood. We did put them on Lasix. And now, after knowing what I've known over the last 3 years, I'm comfortable in making that decision with Jason. He said the same thing I did. And when it came to Cadell, tall order, he did the best he could. That's all you can ask him to do, and he's going to be a really nice horse for us. Again, as I said in my opening video, there's nothing wrong with having a very good Buckeye horse, which I know we have a bucket full of those. We have some Sire Stake horses. We're going to have a lot of fun this summer, and this is exactly what we signed up for. So with that, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to do my opening right now. This is just for you, Kentucky. I'm going to do my opening right now and then get your videos out to you, hopefully tonight or first thing in the morning. Take care.